Chapter 5, the Council of Ephesus. The most important of all the ecumenical councils was the Council of Ephesus, which occurred 431 AD-CE, 50 years after the Council of Constantinople I. At this council, the European icon, image of Serapis, was transformed into the Messiah, the Christos, by the Melkite Coptic Egyptians. Let us take a look at this council. It was the Third Ecumenical Council, held at Ephesus in northeast Africa in Turkey in 431 AD-CE. This council was called because of the difficulties provoked by the preaching of Nestorius, the quasi-Melkite, quasi-Monophysite, and his followers against the title of Theotokos, the Mother of God, which was applied to the created creature, the Virgin Mary, and by the monophysitic teachings of Eutyches. Nestorius preached that the Serapis image had one divine Osiris assimilated spirit, therefore the Son of Man, but no human nature, and thus could not be called a god. This preaching, along with the Monophysite teachings, prompted the Council of Ephesus to come into being. The Melkite bishop Cyril of Alexandria, who was commissioned by the Melkite Coptic Papa Celestine I, journeyed to Ephesus to preside at the council convoked by the Emperor Theodosius II at the request of Celestine. Celestine sent other legates with Bishop Cyril to preside over the council in his place, with strict orders to conduct themselves in accordance with Cyril's instructed guidelines. The first objective of the Melkite Copts were to reaffirm the Nicene Homogeneous Creed, condemn Nestorius and Eutyches and their followers, and to devise and establish an official doctrine, a human nature, for the Serapis icon. This was done by Cyril following the guidelines set forth by Celestine. Cyril maintained that being, physis of the Word, had not undergone any change in becoming flesh. The Word, logos, is united according to the substance, hypostasis, to flesh animated by a rational soul. He is called the Son of Man, where the two natures are joined in a true union, and the two constitute one person and the one Son. The difference in natures is not suppressed by the union, but the inexplicable meeting of divinity and humanity produces one soul, Serapis, Christ. The Word was born of the Virgin and took to himself the nature of his own proper flesh. This decree was supposed to have given Serapis a human nature, which in truth was done by removing our ancient Egyptian goddess Isis, from the ancient Egyptian divine triad and replacing her with a man-made created creature today called the Virgin Mary. This creature called the Virgin Mary was given the assimilated characteristics of Isis, thereby making this creature a goddess. The European male, created creature called Serapis had to be said to have been born through the body of a woman in order for this creature to have a human nature and body. So at the Council of Ephesus, the Melkite Coptic legates, following the orders of Celestine, carried out by Cyril, made the hypostatic union of this creature called the Virgin Mary with that of Serapis. Thus, this created creature called the Virgin Mary became the Virgin Theotokos, the Mother of God, thereby claiming the Logos, Serapis, had become flesh. With this man-made, diophysitic, divine, and human nature of the created Logos, Serapis, and the created creature, the Virgin Mary, as Theotokos, there began the development of a new theology. The Melkite Copts, who spoke a Coptic Greek language, made the Serapis image the anointed Messiah. And the word Messiah in Coptic Greek means Christos, and in English, Christ. This caused the Melkite community to become the world's first diophysitic Christians, who in today's history books are being called Coptic Christians. Today, this contrived, spiritless creature called Serapis is worshipped throughout the world and is called Jesus the Christ, or Jesus, Son of Mary, the Savior and Redeemer of mankind. Now you can see how the image of Ptolemy I Lagi, called Soter, Savior, after receiving the composite names of Osiris and Apis, was created and named Os-Serapis in 320 BCE in Memphis, Egypt, who then was transformed into a god after receiving the assimilated characteristics of Osiris. You can also see how during the Council of Ephesus, this creature, Serapis, was transformed into the Christ 751 years later. You can now see how the name Soter, which means Savior, coming from Ptolemy I Lagi, played such an important part in the man-made religion called Christianity. Finally, you can see how this man-created icon called Serapis came to be called the Christ, who today is called the Savior. The fourth and next ecumenical council meeting was convoked 20 years later and was called the Council of Chalcedon.